I must realize it's so tempting to make another 45-minute video exploring a fraction of the things I wish to say about this prequel-sequel hybrid movie about which I feel strongly, but I need to work on putting out more videos because the more I do, the faster I learn. The faster I learn to be faster, the faster I improve, generally speaking, of course. The more palatable my videos become, and then finally, maybe, just maybe, someday I will be able to take myself seriously as a content creator and video editor because I still very much think of this as a hobby or side project, secondary to my real work. That being said, I am fortunate to have been able to dedicate as much time as I have to creating and learning what I have, but I will have to invest more time in my other ventures for a little while. This is also due to technical difficulties. DaVinci Resolve is very resource heavy. I have done nothing but record the next video in the last 3 weeks or so because of these issues. I've been so unproductive, and then of course I have a virus because why not? This silly channel is probably going to be the death of me. By the way, I know that I should not be doing this, but I'm using my front-facing camera to record. Let me actually show you what I'm seeing right now. What can I say? I like to talk to myself. It is therapeutic. But yeah, I'm shooting in 4K, so this should help. Hey, I'm back. Shut up. Normally, or what normal people might do is, after discussing such heavy, life-altering traumas, such as those from childhood and of abuses both physical and systematic, which do not discriminate based on age, i.e. the topics of my last 2 videos, one would be remiss not to rebalance the positive-negative mood of the room, to lighten the mood so as not to bring anyone down too much. Did you catch my mistake? I said that I would be remiss. Yes, that is correct. I assumed that it would be a bad thing to disregard the balance, but I do not think that is necessarily true. Let me introduce you to the world of Final Destination. This is a world much like our own. Death and the time at which it occurs is definite, but we also have free will. In case you do not already know, Final Destination is a movie that asks a very interesting question, and that is, essentially, what if we could cheat death? And more importantly, what are the ramifications thereof? Yes, Final Destination was a childhood favorite of mine. Don't ask how I was able to watch the movie with my super strict parents who forbade me from watching movies until I reached the arbitrary age with which the MPAA in particular, the Motion Picture Association of America, came up for some reason, even though the rest of the world has different rating systems, mostly based on numbers. I could make a video on that topic alone. Moving on.
Great! Oh, so good to see you. Hey, are you hungry? I was gonna make some lunch.
The last Final Destination movie came out well over a decade ago, in 2011. I remember that year because that was also when the last Scream movie was released. Unlike Scream, however, the Final Destination movies just barely allowed themselves to be decent for long enough to form a trilogy. And then after that, it was all downhill. Or it was until Final Destination 6. I give Final Destination 6 a 5.5 out of 10. Up that 5.5 out of 10 to a 6 because IMDb does not allow ratings to have even a single decimal. So, see, it all works out in the end. Yeah, no, I take that back. I rewatched the movie and it is not good enough to be a 6 out of 10. I'm afraid I will have to condemn it to an eternity as a 5. We are talking about a movie where a kicked football possesses enough force to shunt a teen girl into a dumpster right before collection. This right before the driver, who is of course blaring music, not paying his surroundings any attention, drives off, but just slowly enough for our protags to keep up as they slap the side of the vehicle Tobey Maguire style, but also just long enough too, as if garbage collectors only service every 10th house or so. Really, is that a thing? I think not.
Give me your hand! I got you! Don't worry, you're not next!
My sister's in the back!
I wonder if I should feel bad for enjoying this movie. It feels dishonorable admitting that I did because we all know why it was made. You do not concoct a 6th installment to a popular film or television series out of the goodness of your heart and love for the source material and fan base, or because it inexplicably needed to happen. What a joke. Someone or something wanted money, and then someone else wanted to entertain their puerile urge to create something not for the beneficiality of the result, but for the act of creation itself, whether that serves self-expression, one's survival, one's relevance, or mere routine. Much of this hapless creation stems from the impulse to keep creating, regardless of the waste and litter the result leaves in its wake, because the demand to create never sleeps when creation means money. This is a system where content reigns supreme. Therefore, novelty is optional. This is an art where even repetition is a form of participation for the auteur, and these people want to participate. It is only certainly about the money for the company, for companies do not have egos. But humans do. These filler movies fill the gaps between films made with fervor for something more. They are about innovation so much as they are about sustaining the momentum of the artist's undeserved ascents and the business's likely financial gain. It does not matter if the people working on it cared at all about the franchise. Merely being a fan or longtime viewer of the IP you partly beat as though it were a dead horse does not exculpate you from criticism. I do not need to hear the directors speak on how they are longtime fans to know that they most probably are. Final Destination is not just a film franchise. It has comic books and novels written about it. Even I, as a child, created my own fantasies wherein some group of unlucky souls die after having cheated death. Surely that's something we've all done. That will not happen again. I promise. I had to tell Fede Alvarez the same thing. If anything, being a fan makes it worse, somehow. Who would you rather get assaulted by? A longtime friend in whom you trust, or a random androgynous person of equivalent manner and stature? The film felt fleeting. I wanted to enjoy it while it lasted, but it felt like it was rushing to lazily build its world and connect the dots on its way to the finish line. Although I can appreciate that they tried. It would have been so easy to just make another movie wherein the now necessarily female protag, because the last two movies had male leads, and because fifth wave feminism is here, Right, so it really would have been rather easy to just have another movie wherein the now female protag inexplicably has a premonition and then saves a bunch of random people's lives before slowly coming to realize what every single person before her had to slowly realize before inevitably being humbled. They tried to make sense of everything, and they relied upon a lot of the hidden or otherwise niche lore of the Final Destination universe. They did not have to do that. Fede Alvarez did not have to do that either with Alien Romulus. As lazy as callbacks, self-references, and Easter eggs are in the grand scheme of things, they do demand some attention to detail to the screenplay. I feel like they could have easily found a way to make pivotal developmental scenes a few minutes longer each so as to make them feel more natural, you know, because in reality, conversations are not a means to an end where the end or end goal is to inform some casual viewer somewhere. We do not meet up with our crazy grandmother who probably knows exactly why we're having dreams of a traumatic event of theirs, only to leave like 5 minutes later because she's not making sense right away. Just have some patience. Dumb. Yep, I probably just lost my feminist card back there again. Oh well.
I just hate when movies are written this way.
It is... I don't remember what the phenomenon is called exactly. I should. My apologies. I should have probably written this in somewhere. But I will put up the one to which I mean to refer somewhere here. Like...
I know that you know
sequential.
You know the word. Just to say it.
All I'm thinking about is sequential procedure. How close am I? The thing nearest to this pattern in my head is the phrase plot-driven, but to a fault, of course. You hear character-driven also get used a lot in movie reviewing spaces. Same difference, really. The point that I mean to convey is that everything that happens in service of a mechanical unfolding of events, so there is little time spent exploring the main character's histories, little time spent world-building or developing anything else for that matter. These are unidimensional narratives. After that basic flashback, we basically get this clinical, pun intended, procedural exhibition of this story's events. These people only ever stay in one place for long enough to use that place to drive the plot, and almost never in service of its core themes or character development. Like I said, I mentioned that there is a flashback, and yeah, I am referring to the narrative tool. However, this is actually exemplative of my problem with this movie and others like it. The filler and fluff. That tool is so overused that calling movies with flashbacks non-linear, making them sound more complex than they are, is almost like giving it too much credit, because that tool is probably not meaningfully being used. It is no more a narrative tool at this point than a comma is a tool whose purpose is to separate sentences, clauses, which is to say that while the inclusion of these flashbacks in movies might have been especially apt for a certain type of movie, certain genres of movies in the past, that is no longer the case. If flashbacks are still tools, then reflexes like punching someone who sneaks up on you is assault, because if the former is true, then other involuntary actions might as well be used against you. Let's not give them too much credit, is all I am going to say. Back to punctuation, and this is still relevant to the movie. A comma, for example, is now also used to indicate pauses in a sentence, wherever warranted, I guess. How do you use a comma anyway? Well, it depends, or rather, it is not as apparent as it once was, so it can be used sometimes wrongfully, or for more than one purpose, sometimes. Ellipses too.
Outside is dangerous, but inside is the safest place that there is.
Destination 6 was a fun one-track ride I enjoyed it for what it was because I am a member of its intended audience, but nostalgia can only grant you so much credit before your intentions become clear and ruin the illusion. Fortunately for me, I was able to have fun before I decided to dig myself into this meta-analytical hole of mine. I do realize now that I was played, and I let myself get played. And yet, I do not blame myself for falling for the nostalgia trap, or I don't blame myself any more than I would a working class family for falling into the trap set by the likes of Disney. Those parents are most likely overworked, and they want to do something nice for the kids or for themselves. Maybe they're old enough to remember when the original was released, if the version they saw when they were kids was even the original. It is just a damned shame that we are all so beaten and exhausted that we struggle to identify these basic methods of manipulation and exploitation at play in the pleasures set out for us by megacorporations. The realization tends to come only after it is already too late, if at all. Why else is the world not changing for the better? Like with our own deaths, we will probably not know that it actually just happened until it has happened, but then once it has happened, the knowing will have lost all its meaning. Keepers creepers. I forgot to say hello at the beginning of the video. I am so sorry. How rude of me.